I'm Warren,
And I'm Tim.
and in this video we're going to talk about how to switch internet providers. You know, Tim, why is this a topic that's so important for us to talk about?
You know, Warren, it is unfortunate that this is such a difficult thing. This should be fairly easy, right? You know, it's easy to sign up for internet. It's easy to maybe update our plan speed, but canceling it somehow is hard. So there's several reasons for that. One is you might be in a contract. Another more common one is companies unfortunately make this really difficult to do. When you call in, they might take you through a process of trying to keep you on board by offering new incentives. I've had some really unique ones. I talked to a lady once where she had trouble with her internet. Her internet service had been down most of the month. She had a request in for a service technician to come out and troubleshoot it. He didn't show up on time, and eventually she went to cancel the internet, and they said, no, you can't cancel it because there's an open work order. So these issues are just troublesome, and they can tend to really be exhausting emotionally for people to make this change. So unfortunately, the level of customer service from providers tends to be pretty low, and that's why it tends to be a pretty difficult thing.
Yeah, that seems like a really frustrating process to go through. But if you've made the decision that you want to switch internet providers and you go through this process and you call them and you cancel and you work your way through that, what should you do to plan and create a strategy to try and make that as easy or as painless as possible?
That's a great question, Warren, because if you do this right, you can make it hopefully a little less painful. So one is, if you are in a contract, know what date the contract expires. Is there a window where you can opt out before you're locked in for another year? Things like that. So plan the timing. That would be the first one if you're dealing with a contract. The other thing I would say, because many people are not in contracts, fortunately, is I would discourage people from canceling until their new service is active. No matter who the provider is, make sure not only do they say can provide you service, but that the service is actually active. At that point, then you're in a position to go ahead and cancel your last one, knowing you're going to have no disruption in service for your home internet. The other thing is, be prepared. Once you've got the new service, you're ready to cancel the other one, you've made your decision, likely you're going to have to call in, talk to your provider, and just be firm. Be prepared mentally, emotionally, that they may try tactics that may be respectful, they may be not so respectful. You should be respectful all the time. I recommend when you're doing this process, even if you feel you're being violated. But be prepared to be firm and say the decision has been made and we're canceling service.
Absolutely. It seems like once you go through this process, and it is painful, you want to set yourself up not to do this again in the future. So what if you have an internet email that is tied to your service provider?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we get that question sometimes. It's typical with a lot of clients on DSL networks, the digital subscriber line. So we got the phone line, we eventually got internet with it, and we got email with it, right? So maybe this was started back in the 90s, a little while ago, and the question is, if I cancel that service, what happens to my email? So we recommend that you talk to your service provider about that and say, if I cancel, if I terminate service, if I move, whatever the case is, what happens to my email address? Some of them may say, well, it's just going to stay active indefinitely. We recommend that you look at an email solution that's not tied to an internet service provider. That's one of the reasons we don't provide email service, because today's solutions from things like companies like Google, Google's one of the big ones, Google Mail. You can set up for free. You have a certain amount of storage for pictures and documents and things like that, and you have an email solution that no matter where you live around the world, United States or otherwise, you should be able to log into that account, and it's not tied into a local internet service provider.
Yeah, and for the most part, these email providers do a far better job, because that's what they do at email and their email platform, than most of the internet providers do. Mm-hmm. In summary, if you're looking to switch internet providers, just be prepared that it could be a challenging and somewhat painful experience, but know when your contract's going to expire if you are in a contract. Be prepared to have that discussion, but also plan in advance and have your internet set up, your new internet set up before you make that phone call. and then just be prepared to be firm and push back a little bit with your current provider, because they're going to do what they can. They have tactics to try and keep you, but you'll already have internet set up and you'll be prepared to move on. And then one of the things you can do to set yourself up for success in terms of email in the future is transition to an internet-based email that's not tied to your internet provider.